Exercise 3. Part C. Directions. In Part C, you will hear several talks. After each talk, you will be asked some questions. The talks and questions will be spoken just one time. They will not be written out for you, so you will have to listen carefully, in order to understand and remember what the speaker says. When you hear a question, read the 4 possible answers in your test book, and decide which one would be the best answer to the question you have heard. Then, on your answer sheet, find the number of the problem and fill in the space that corresponds to the letter of the answer you have chosen. Now begin work on the questions. Questions 1 through 5. Listen to the following talk about cabbage.
Today, we continue talking about vegetable and fodder plants. We spoke of other types of these, including kale and collards, previously. Today we will review what is normally referred to as cabbage in common conversation. Cabbage is a common vegetable native to England and northwestern France but now grown in many parts of Europe, Asia, and the American continents. There are 3 kinds of cabbage, all with the same basic characteristic. The leaves grow very close together, forming a hard, round head. The 3 types of cabbage are white, Savoy, and red. While the white and red cabbages have prominent veins in their leaves, Savoy has wrinkled and blistered leaves. All forms of cabbage have succulent leaves covered with a waxy coating. They are low in calories, have little fat, and are an excellent source of ascorbic acid, minerals, and bulk, which helps digestion. Cabbage seeds are quite small. Farmers normally sow the seeds in rows that are about 36 inches apart. After young plants have sprouted, the rows are thinned to allow a space of 18 to 24 inches between plants. Cabbage is a biennial, meaning that it grows vegetatively one season, and its flowering and seed production occurs in the second season, after which the plant dies. Cabbage plants grow best in mild to cool climates, although they will tolerate frost and maybe even colder climates. Very hot weather affects the quality of the cabbage and impairs growth. Please read the materials provided, and then we will discuss Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and broccoli.
Question number 1. According to the speaker, what is a biennial? Question number 2. According to the speaker, where was cabbage originally found? Question number 3. According to the speaker, what is the main difference between the types of cabbage mentioned? Question number 4. According to the speaker, which of the following is not a characteristic of all cabbage types? Question number 5. Which type of plant does the speaker say was discussed previously? Questions 6 through 9. Listen to the following talk about Stephen Crane. Today, we continue our discussion of 19th century authors. Stephen Crane had the great fortune to write 2 extremely important works before reaching the age of 22. He lived only until age 28, but is as well known and well respected as many more prolific authors with many more years of experience. Crane is known for his ability to combine realism and symbolism in a unique manner. But it has been said that he wasted his genius by living hard, trying to pack his life with experiences, including too many unhealthy ones. He seemed to believe that he had to experience what he wrote about firsthand. He risked his life by placing himself among bandits in Mexico, artillery fire in Cuba and Greece, and a shipwreck off the coast of Florida. He described himself as lazy, indicating that he wrote only when he had to. He was driven to write, he said. When the muse hit him, he would rapidly write an entire story or a fragment that he would use with something else in the future. For example, he wrote a story about a sea voyage before he experienced the shipwreck. The story wasn't published at the time, because no magazine would take it. But the realistic story entitled The Open Boat, which was written about the shipwreck he actually experienced, was considered a masterpiece, and the actual facts were interspersed with brilliant symbolism. Crane wrote The Open Boat to describe his experience after the shipwreck. The realistic account relives the 30-hour search for shore in a 10-foot dinghy after the wreck. The book begins with the sentence, "None of them knew the color of the sky," describing the point of view of the 4 men in the boat. The jerky, short sentence structure helped describe the feelings of the men in the boat. Crane's novel, The Red Badge of Courage, was a bestseller in the United States and England and gave him immediate fame. While The Open Boat is a factual account, The Red Badge of Courage is fiction. Critics were shocked to learn that Crane was born after the war about which he wrote, because the description is so realistic. Crane also wrote a series of stories called The Bowery Tales, consisting of Maggie, a girl of the streets and other stories. It is a realistic account of poor people living in misery. The short stories that you read begin with The Bowery Tales and end with The Open Boat. Look for symbolism and realism as well as parallels among the works. We will discuss them in more detail in future classes. Question number 6. According to the speaker, which of the following is true about Stephen Crane? Question number 7. What does the speaker imply that Crane did? Question number 8. According to the speaker, how did Crane write? Question number 9. How does the speaker contrast the open boat and the red badge of courage? Questions 10 through 15. Listen to the following talk about termites.
These are termites, cellulose-eating social insects in the order Isoptera. Sometimes they're referred to as white ants, but they're actually not closely related to ants, which are grouped with bees and wasps in a different order of insects. The social system of termites is very similar to that of ants, but the termite social structure has evolved independently. There are about 1,900 species of termites, found in many areas of the world, but most commonly in tropical rainforests. Besides the termites that occur naturally in a given area, many species have been transported inadvertently by man from their native habitats to new parts of the world. They are transported in wooden articles such as shipping crates, boat timbers, lumber, and furniture. Drywood termites live in small colonies in wood and tolerate long periods of dryness, and thus can survive for a long time in seasoned wood and furniture. Termites are actually important to the ecology because they help convert plant cellulose into substances that can be recycled into the ecosystem to support new growth. But termites are also very destructive because they feed upon and damage wooden objects and crops. Termites that are transported from other areas are even more dangerous because they're not as able to eat the trees that grow in their new environment. Therefore, they live in and eat man-made wooden structures and crops. To treat a termite problem, it's important to understand whether the termite is a subterranean or a wood-dwelling species, because treatment methods differ. Subterranean termites depend on contact with moisture in the soil and generally reach the wood in man-made structures through contact with the ground. The ground below the foundations of new homes is frequently pretreated with an insecticide to prevent entry by these termites. Regular application of the insecticide by injecting it into the soil is helpful. It is also beneficial to use pressure-treated wood, treated concrete foundation blocks, and reinforced concrete foundations. In addition, preventing contact of the wood with the ground and avoiding cracks or other means of entry is important. Drywood termites, on the other hand, nest in the wood and eat it. They are difficult to control because they enter the wood from the air. Some protection can be achieved by using chemically treated wood in building construction, as well as carefully painting and sealing cracks. Once infestation has occurred, tent fumigation is generally necessary to eradicate the pests. However, sometimes it is useful to pour insecticides into small holes drilled into areas of infested wood.
Question number 10. What does the speaker say about the similarity of termites to ants? Question number 11. According to the speaker, which types of termites are the most destructive to man-made structures? Question number 12. Which of the following items does the author imply that termites will not be transported in? Question number 13. Which of the following would the speaker probably say? Question number 14. According to the speaker, in what way are subterranean termites distinct from drywood termites? Question number 15. The speaker implies that drywood termites are most effectively treated using what method? Questions 16 through 18. Listen to the following talk.
This is a tool made of stone. It could be used for digging, cutting, or various other things. Scientists used to believe that the most advanced Stone Age tools were developed in the Middle East and Africa. However, these tools were discovered in China recently, and they're certainly as advanced as those of the other continents, with the same sophisticated shape and consistency of design as the other tools. These tools were found near the Chinese border with Vietnam, and they appear to be about 800,000 years old. It is a particularly interesting discovery, because now scientists know that in spite of slight differences, similar techniques were used over a very great distance.
Question number 16. What is the man talking about? Question number 17. What had scientists believed before these tools were found? Question number 18. How does the speaker describe the comparison between the new tools and the tools found previously? Questions 19 through 25. Listen to the following talk about Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Today, we continue discussing American authors of the 1800s. Nathaniel Hawthorne, author of The Scarlet Letter and The House of the Seven Gables, had an interesting and varied life. At times he enjoyed success, and at times he lived in despair. Hawthorne's father died when he was young, and his family had to move in with relatives. His mother became very reclusive. Hawthorne didn't care much for formal schooling, but he severely injured his foot when he was 9, causing him to be incapacitated for a long time. While at home, he began reading Shakespeare and other authors. Hawthorne was later sent to a prep school, but he still wasn't a particularly good student. After graduating, he returned to the home where his mother lived in seclusion, and he moved into an upstairs room, from which he rarely exited. He said he spent the next 12 years in what he called this dismal chamber. Actually, some critics say he really didn't spend as much time in seclusion as he led people to believe, and he concocted the idea that he was a hermit artist. Critics say that he actually went out from time to time and even traveled to various cities. But he did read and write in the room, improving his writing ability considerably, and at the end of the 12 years, he created a great collection of short stories. During that time, he published a book at his own expense, but it was a failure. Later, he destroyed all the books. Hawthorne continued to write, but was unable to find a publisher, and he was often frustrated. He did manage to publish many of his works in magazines. One of his well-known works, Twice Told Tales, was published as well. He didn't make enough money from these publications to support a family, so even though he was engaged to marry a woman, they didn't marry for a long time. Hawthorne took various jobs that involved manual labor, and the work made him too tired to write. Finally, after an engagement that lasted many years, Hawthorne got married when he was in his mid-30s. He lost a job, which gave him the time to write his most famous work, The Scarlet Letter. Although The Scarlet Letter sold well, it was pirated by some publishers, so Hawthorne didn't make much money from it. References he made in The Scarlet Letter angered many people from Salem, Massachusetts, so Hawthorne and his wife moved to a new town. In their new town, Hawthorne met Herman Melville, who was writing Moby Dick, and he wrote The House of the Seven Gables.
Question number 19. What does the speaker imply about Hawthorne's success as a writer? Question number 20. How does the speaker describe Hawthorne's scholastic abilities? Question number 21. How does the speaker describe Hawthorne's early home life? Question number 22. What does the speaker imply that Hawthorne did during his reclusive years? Question number 23. According to the speaker, what was Hawthorne's reaction to his first published work, which was self-published? Question number 24. What does the speaker imply about Hawthorne's financial success? Question number 25. What does the speaker indicate happened to the Scarlet Letter during Hawthorne's lifetime? Questions 26 through 30. Listen to the following speech about coral reefs.
This is a coral reef, which is a very important part of our environment, not just for our personal enjoyment, but for many other reasons as well. Coral reefs have suffered greatly in recent years, but they are making a comeback, thanks in part to a group of volunteers who make it their business to monitor and nurture them. The United States has 425,000 acres of coral reefs, the majority of which are in Hawaii. Generally, coral grows about 1 inch a year. Besides providing a habitat for lobsters, fish, and other sea life, coral reefs are important because they are used for bone grafts, for developing pesticides, and for providing natural breakwaters to protect coasts from erosion. They are also a natural source of beauty. Besides careless treatment by tourists and officials, one major problem for coral reefs is the result of environmental changes. In 1998, El Niño caused the warmest ocean temperatures ever recorded, resulting in the death of necessary algae and, ultimately, the bleaching of the coral itself. The natural color of healthy coral reefs comes from the algae, but the death of the algae bleaches them white. The fact that the damage generally appears closer to the surface is further proof that higher temperatures are the cause of the problem. Because of the tremendous importance of coral reefs, the United States government has funded numerous projects to assist in bringing damaged reefs back to life. We aren't out of the woods yet, but things are looking up for the reefs and the natural inhabitants of them. In 1998, it was determined that 15% of the world's reefs were dead, but lately, some have recovered. As the reefs recover, the inhabitants thrive again.
Question number 26. What does the woman say about the health of coral reefs since 1998? Question number 27. According to the woman, which of the following is not a reason why coral reefs are important? Question number 28. What does the speaker describe as a major cause of coral reef death? Question number 29. What does the speaker describe as the relationship between coral and algae? Question number 30. What has been done to improve the health of coral reefs? This is the end of Part C.